Hello, Meoni here, and welcome back to another video for Final Fantasy XIV. Today we're looking at the Fall Guys event as an overview and thoughts, basically my opinions on the event, the actual crossover itself, how it was done, and my thoughts and ways to improve this, as well as a little bit of a feedback session on the community as well. So first of all, I would like to say that this is probably one of the most impressive crossovers I've seen in the game. Creating an event area that brings everyone together, that relies on them actually pressing on the registrar and queuing, is a massive improvement and really does bring the community together. I don't remember the last time I saw as many people from my own server in one place before. I think it was Rauga's Reach all those years ago. Maybe this is the way to go for future things in Dawntrail, especially for events as well. It's been nice to see people. So the fact that they bring people here and, you know, you get to see these people and all enjoying themselves, wearing all of the armor, you know, Fall Guys beanies and stuff like that, fantastic. That's my first piece of feedback is, this is a fantastic idea, and I wish that every future event would have something like this as well. For example, we have the Dragon Quest crossover, we have a little quest. That's awesome. I like the quests, but to have an own area for a crossover event is something special. I know it's probably a lot of extra work, time, and probably money out of the budget, but if they're capable of pulling this off, hopefully they're capable of pulling it off again with other pieces of content, because it is as good, if not better, I think, a crossover than the Monster Hunter crossover. And that's saying a lot. And the only reason I say that, and I love the Monster Hunter crossover with a passion. I love the rewards from that. I love the storyline. It's fantastic. But to have a zone specifically associated with this, like an actual instanced area to do things that are related to that feature, nothing has done it better than this event. So that's my first piece of feedback. Massive thumbs up from me. And also watch your queuing and your waiting for your events. Not that the queues are very long at all. When the servers are working at full peak, it's really quick to get in there. I don't think there's even a minimum, as people have reminded me with solo instances that they've queued into. You know, it's fun to hop around. There's lots of jumping puzzles in here. It's great. So that's my first piece of feedback. The zone itself, brilliant. Right, in terms of the rewards then, that's the main thing. I've done a video on all of the rewards. I think they were surprising. I didn't expect there to be quite as many, and I didn't expect them to be as cheap as they are either. So when you do an average run of the Blunderville, you know, if you fail in the first round, you're going to get 50 Mandeville Gold Source of Fame. Okay, Manda Gold Source of Fame, 50 of that. That's quite a lot considering what we've got. Some items that are 350 each. You've already taken 50 off of that by just failing in the first few seconds, you know? And if you get all the way to the final round, let's say you don't win and you don't get, you know, first place in either of the other two rounds either, you're going to get around 300 of this fame. So it's really good. It doesn't take too long to get all of the rewards from this, at least from the vendors. So yeah, I'm quite happy. This is alt friendly, and a lot of people will want to get these rewards on as many characters as they have. The variety of rewards is also quite impressive, with 3 separate framers kits, a mount of all things, which I didn't expect, 2 minions, you know, a full outfit, 2 crowns, and all of the headwear is usable on Viera and Hrothgar, which is something that hasn't been a thing, you know, for a very long time. A lot of the newer pieces of gear added to the game, more seriously from other more serious pieces of content, focuses around tiaras and headpieces that can be used on every single race now, as opposed to having like hoods and proper hats. And that's a way that they've dealt with the ever-increasing demand of being able to have that equality across the board, across races, of which myself is partially to blame. Every piece of feedback I give is, it would be nice if a Viera could wear this, but I still don't necessarily think that's the direction that would be the best. I think that it probably needs to be addressed in the future, and they need to backdate more items essentially for use for those races. And if new content is being created for the game, I think that any new content that rewards a glamour set that has a helm should have all of the races in the game in mind as that is being created. Now, that might be more difficult than I'm asking for. I fully respect that. I know nothing about development costs, time, limitations. I do know that the heads are completely different and it's a completely different model system. But if we saw the dev panel at FanFest, a lot of the information there was that they were trying to standardize those heads, to standardize those models to the same amount of polygons, to allow for morphing between that tech. As we saw, there was a brief clip of how they morphed all of the faces together. That's every single race in the game. With the female Rothgar no doubt being announced at Japanese FanFest, fingers crossed at least, then maybe 7.0 will be the answer to all of that and more. That's where my hopes lie. 7.0 could be the way to fix that. But anyway, we're going slightly off topic here. The point is that they have stuff that everybody can wear immediately, and it's affordable, it doesn't take a lot of time, and it's enjoyable. Now, in terms of the event itself, when you queue into this, as I say, there's no queue limitations, so you can queue instantly into this when the servers are at full capacity. On day one, they were a little bit slow, but that's because of demand. But now if you queue at any time, even at peak time, you can get straight in here. A few pieces of feedback for this. A lot of people you'll see joining and leaving. The joining isn't the problem. The leaving and then the rejoining and then the joining and then the leaving, that spam that you see of people disappearing and reappearing is them trying to fish for a solo instance. Because of course, if you get queued in there with less people than a full amount, you have a greater chance of winning, regardless of your skill level. So a lot of people are trying to metagame that and leaving and joining and leaving and joining and leaving and joining. And then eventually they will get the server that only has either 2 people or even them on their own, depending on the time that they are trying to do this. Obviously, some people wait till 3 in the morning. Now, there's nothing against terms of service for that, as far as I know, and there are currently no penalties. So as you can see, if we demonstrate this, if we leave, we didn't get a penalty. We didn't get a warning that we would get a penalty, so we can rejoin straight away. Now, personally, I just would rather if this had a penalty placed on them. So maybe you can do this like twice, and then you would get a 30-minute, because every other duty in the game has that. That might be slightly controversial, me giving that feedback, but I think that it would be a better approach to this, personally. You might disagree. A brief mention then for the second point, very quickly, just on the fact that people have asked me to react to this. There are some members of the Final Fantasy XIV player base that have taken it upon themselves to take any shortcut necessary to reach 100 wins for the Queen Bean and King Bean title. This includes violations of terms of service of their account, use of third-party software and applications, which of course is putting their account at risk. I personally don't condone, promote, or even encourage any of that behavior. And honestly, I think it's kind of pathetic, if you were to ask my opinion, to cheat in something like this that brings people together in this lovely event where there's randomness, it's supposed to be fun, takes the fun out of it for a lot of people, and to know that essentially you won't have a fair deal and a fair chance at victory kind of detracts more people from taking part. So unfortunately, it is a factor of any competitive game mode in any game, but it's nonetheless very disappointing. But let's not dwell on the point. Those are my opinions on it. It's pathetic. Moving on then, the event itself is great. I love the variety of puzzles. I think that they could certainly translate a few of the other maps over. I would love to see the seesaw events from Fall Guys. Maybe some of the moving platform events where you have to fit through the hole sort of thing. I forget what that's called, where there's like a moving plate that comes towards you. Maybe do an emote to react to the door, and then that's the only way you can get through the door. That would be cool and easily translated. We could also have the catch the tail minigame. If you don't know, in Fall Guys, there's a thing where you pick up a tail, you walk into it, and then your character has a tail. And then you run around, and then other people walk into you. They just have to touch near you, and then they get the tail. You could easily do that even without collision detection. Just have a buff. We've got a buff and debuff system in the game. Just give them a buff and pass the buff on when someone gets too close. I think that would be easily translatable. So there's lots of things from Fall Guys they could translate well into our game, and I think it would work well. Talking of our game, the engine is doing really well. There's a bit of netcode here and there. Sometimes you walk into things that weren't there, or the server says you got hit by something when you didn't. This is something that's been around for a long time and is just a, it's just a symptom of the way the game has always been. It seems more obvious now because you're relying on it at much greater speed, or as you're trying to rush through something or avoid something, it can get frustrating. But if you give it a bit of time and you learn the latency between things, it's a lot easier. Now, playing on other servers from your own with more latency, that's a whole new kettle of fish. Massive respect to people who play on European servers or American servers from Oceanic, by the way. I do not envy that latency and trying to do events like this. Those are the real king beans, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that the variety of puzzles is great. The crystal minigame can certainly go straight to Hades. I prefer the Fungar one, where you just run around avoiding the spinning dude blowing you off a platform, any day, to the basically shape puzzle where you pick up a crystal and try and fit it down these routes. Sometimes the red route just hates me, and I don't know why. It's either that or yellow route, where the wind just blows when I didn't think it was going to blow, and then it puts me out or gets me hit by a hammer. Yeah, I'd much rather have the Fungar minigame. But yeah, across the board, it's a lot of fun. And then the final Mandeville Mountain run, despite the fact that people are doing what they do, as we said earlier, it's really fun. It's really enjoyable. And learning the pattern isn't too difficult. I mean, I'm messing up here as I'm recording this, but it's a lot of fun. And it's nice to see people actually get that nice victory animation, and you get to show off, like this person from Moogle looking awesome. Great looking Ella's in there with lovely glamour. And the rewards from just doing the event as well. Like I said, we got 300 fame here. We didn't come first in any of the rounds, but we got a ton of MGP, which is comparable to, for example, a Make It Rain event or doing any of the challenge log stuff at that time. So I can only imagine in the future if they rotate back in this event with other things. Let's say it was a Make It Rain event at the same time as a Fall Guys crossover. That would be incredible. You'd be capped on MGP before you could say Geronimo at that point. Probably not. But yeah, I think that this is a really solid event, and I would love to see it in other forms as well. I would love to see the Dragon Quest event have this treatment. I would love to see the Final Fantasy XVI event have this sort of treatment, which should be coming up soon. Hopefully, 6.55 or later? Hopefully not too late. But I'm really looking forward to that event. But yeah, all in all, I would give this a solid 8 out of 10, which is quite high if I was to give it a number, just purely because of how realistic it is to the original, how well they've coded it despite the limitations, and the range of rewards and structure of getting those rewards is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyway, let me know what you think about this event if you've managed to get the title yet. Much love. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all next time. Good luck, and don't fall too much.